104.5, the team, your home for New York sports, Levack and Goz, and we're going all the way down to Miami and looking out the window. I wish we were actually going to Miami. Joining us, the host of the Donno Show on 560 WQAM, the flagship station of the Miami Dolphins. Alex, let's get right into this, man. How are the Dolphins fans feeling after their big win over the Steelers last week?
Almost baffled and confused by the amount of success coming in that one game after the awful showing against Tennessee the week prior. I think maybe it's still too soon to say if the Dolphins really figured something out, but I mean, one of the biggest things, guys, that they got rolling, and one of the biggest surprises from that game was the success of Jay Ajayi. 204 yards, 2 touchdowns in that game. I think a lot of people out there had him on their fantasy benches, which didn't work out too well. I mean, the offensive line played their most physical game in a while, and it really helps that Mike Pouncey is back. It really helps that Brandon Albert is healthy once again, and Laramie Tunsil is playing well at left guard. So I kind of felt like last week was sort of the perfect storm of success for that Dolphins offense, and the defense played better when they were playing with the lead. So if that kind of success can continue, the Dolphins could salvage the season a little bit, but we got to take this thing 1 week at a time.
So you believe it's more about this team actually improving and less about the injury to Ben Roethlisberger?
Well, I'm sure that had something to do with it, guys, but I don't know if that can take away from the physicality of the offense. But I'm sure that Ben Roethlisberger's injury definitely helped that situation out. But I think one thing you look at with this Dolphins defense, and the coaches say it all the time, overall this year they've been dreadful. I mean, they're still, I think they're now 31st against the run when they were 32nd coming into that game. So any team that you have a defensive line anchored by Ndamukong Suh to be that bad against the run, it's extremely puzzling. But as far as that goes, guys, I think that playing with the lead is one of the big things that helps that pass rush, really letting Cameron Wake and Andre Branch loose. But speaking of the defense, though, I think maybe the biggest storyline now surrounding this Dolphins team is the injury to Rashad Jones, who has arguably been the Dolphins' maybe best player overall, certainly their best defensive player and their second leading tackler. Losing him now to a torn rotator cuff is going to be a big blow.
Alex Donno with us right now on 104.5, the team getting ready for Bills versus Dolphins. So, Jay Ajayi, I did have him on my bench. Me
too.
Is this what we can expect from him moving forward? Did the Dolphins figure something out in the running game?
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody is challenging him to try and capture what he did last week in a bottle and roll it out time after time. Kind of a weird motivational tactic, I guess you could call it. So we show up in the Dolphins locker room on Monday, and there is a gas can, like, one of those orange gas cans that you can fill up, hanging in his locker with the note, "Can you fill up your gas tank every week?" with a picture of Jay Ajayi on it. And when we spoke to him yesterday, he claims he doesn't know who put it there, where it came from, whether it was a teammate, whether it was a coach, but he said the message was received that they want him to continue to play with that sort of consistency. I'm not sure if he's ever going to have a week like that again, because based on the Jay Ajayi we saw for about the first, 4 games of the season, he's been prone to fumbles. He, has not really broken too many tackles until this past week. So I don't know if it was Jay Ajayi figuring something out or the offensive line figuring something out, but I will say he looks like the best rusher on the Dolphins roster at this point. I mean, Arian Foster, I'm sure, is going to have injury issues all year long, and Damian Williams doesn't really seem like the type of guy who's going to take too many carries away from him. So I think they're going to have to keep on trying to ride Jay Ajayi and hope that set of dice stays hot.
The Dolphins take on the Bills this week. The Bills are at 4-2. The Fins at 2-4. Is it too early to call this game a must-win for the Dolphins?
I think at this point you kind of can. I know it's too early to call it mathematically a must-win, but based on just the lack of success the Dolphins have had against the AFC East, especially the Buffalo Bills, as you guys know, in recent years, you kind of feel like at this point any divisional game is a must-win. I mean, they get swept by the Bills and the Jets a season ago. I don't even know if too many people down here in South Florida are really even considering the possibility of playoffs. It's like you've already had to sort of shift your expectation more towards moral victories than to actually trying to get into the postseason. But as far as a must-win goes, it would just be so important for this team to get a divisional win. They've already lost to the Patriots so far this year, and the Bills have really had the Dolphins' number.
Alex Donno from 560 WQAM, the Miami flagship station of the Miami Dolphins. So do you see them as a legitimate threat to the Bills this weekend? What do they need to do to beat the Bills? I mean, a lot of heat on Ryan Tannehill, a lot of other things going on. I know it quieted down last week, but do the Dolphins have a legit shot at beating the Bills?
I think a lot of it is going to depend on the pass rush and depend on, maintaining, Tyrod Taylor, because, the Dolphins linebacking core has not been very good this year and the secondary is banged up. So they really have to try and create savage pressure with that front four, and hopefully that'll trickle down towards the linebacking core as well in the front seven. I think that's an important key on defense. On offense, you've got to try and outmuscle a very physical Buffalo Bills team. The Dolphins took positive steps in that regard a week ago, probably playing the most physical game they played since the brief stint when Dan Campbell was the head coach last year, and he had these guys running Oklahoma drills in practice like a crazy person. So I think this is really going to come down a lot to that physicality, establishing the running game, because, Ryan Tannehill, when he's tried to put the team on his back and win it himself, that's when he's been prone to making more mistakes. So if you can get something going on the ground early, if you could, find the type of success with the running game that you found a week ago, I think the Dolphins could be in pretty good shape here. But it's really going to depend on executing, and trying to execute without Rashad Jones and that safety core is going to be a lot tougher for these guys.
Alex Donno, host of the Alex Donno Show right here on 104.5, The Team with Levack and Goz. Alex, before we get your actual prediction on this game, we got a lot of Giants fans up here. Olivier Vernon, we saw him change the culture of practice. Like, he's got JPP doing wind sprints in between drills. What are you shocked that hasn't translated to more sacks, more pressures, more tackles for losses on the field yet?
Yeah, I absolutely am. I really thought that this was going to be a bust-out year, and a lot of Dolphin fans down here really miss Olivier Vernon, especially since, him being a Miami Hurricanes alum, there was sort of a special bond with him, and people were upset that, both Olivier Vernon and Lamar Miller, weren't re-signed and took their talents elsewhere. So I am a little bit surprised by that. And I think one thing that Dolphin fans are a little bit disappointed by down here was, you essentially replaced Olivier Vernon with Mario Williams, who you guys know very well. And so far, Mario Williams has translated to virtually nothing. I mean, played some good snaps in the opening game against Seattle, but has really been kind of lost. He's talked about, overthinking things, and that's held him back a little bit. He says he just needs to let it loose and play. I mean, he was virtually taken out of the game plan a week ago, had his snaps significantly reduced against Pittsburgh, had his starting job taken away, at least temporarily. We're not sure if he might be inserted back into the starting lineup this week. So, replacing Olivier Vernon with Mario Williams hasn't worked out so far, and I am kind of surprised that he's not busting out there.
Let's get your prediction. Bills-Dolphins, what happens this Sunday?
Hate to say it, but I think it's going to be a narrow Bills victory. I'm going to say it's going to come down to probably a field goal. I'm going to say 23-20 Buffalo. I think maybe the Dolphins could get down early and try and make it a game close late the way they did against New England, maybe get a 10-point run in the fourth quarter, but I think the Bills are going to hold on to take this one.
Alex Donno, he's the host of the Alex Donno Show on 560 WQAM. We appreciate you, man, and I'm not going to lie to you, I hope you're right.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And when I do my next Miami radio hit, I'm going to go 23-20 Dolphins. How about that?
Good man. See, that's what I like. Smart man. Alex, man, thank you so much, and don't enjoy the weather too much.
All right, guys. Yeah, don't enjoy that weather too much either. I know you won't.
Let me get a boat, and I'll enjoy my ride to my car in the parking lot.
At least it's not snow.